Howdy, I'm Olivia.
And I'm Julia.
Welcome to the drive-in. This is Silver Screeners. Please enjoy the show and subscribe. This is kind of a long time coming.
Oh, yeah.
Because when this was a podcast called Hives and Lows, one of the first things that we talked about was Thunderbolts.
So the name has changed from Thunderbolts to Thunderbolts asterisk? That's what the name changes. What?
That's such a weird...
I'm confused. Also, ugly logo. Why are we doing this? I just keep hearing things that are making me less and less excited. So
And I went on like a very long, like manic, worried rant.
So the reason why I saw Thunderbolts on Thursday night was because I was like, if I get to see this before Olivia, I think that's funny. Because Olivia has been excited for this movie even before I've ever met her. like you said, it's like one of the first videos that we ever did together. You were like, okay, Thunderbolts. And I'm like,
yeah,
what is that?
Yes, it was really, I mean, if you go back to that, it's literally, they would be like, what the hell is she on? So I was so stressed and worried that they were going to butcher this that I was just like freaking out. So I was very worried, but you know, we'll get to our feelings at the end, our thoughts and our feelings. But we're going to go over the movie and the spoiler alert, like to the max. We're going to discuss everything, go through everything. So definite spoiler alert. We are going to be covering every single aspect of this movie. So, but I recommend that you go see it. This isn't one of those things where it's like, we're telling you about it so you don't have to see it. Good movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I want it to outperform.
Yeah, I think it's a really good theater going experience. I think it kind of took me back. If you are new to this channel, like Olivia is a long time Marvel fan, like literally getting every project, and I haven't really watched a Marvel film since Endgame. So it kind of took me back to the kind of the days of like going to see Age of Ultron and people laughing and like crying. So I think it's a good experience. And it's also a good emotional film with cool characters. I think that's one of the biggest selling points for me.
No, like, not good actor in this movie. Like, everybody is like killing it. It's kind of crazy. Like, everybody. Like, sometimes you'll go to a movie, like even with these like Marvel movies, you'll go and you'll be like, one person was sort of the weak link. Everybody was good.
Like everyone's doing their job.
Yeah, so we're gonna go through everything. We're gonna say our thoughts on all the scenes. We kind of broke it up into like main little parts.
And then we sprinkled some memes in there.
So the first little section I have is the Malaysia / Alexi's house bit. Elena doing a mission for Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. Elena was in Black Widow.
Yeah.
And Valentina was introduced in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So that's what you need to know. Valentina is the director of the CIA.
Yes.
Kind of, there's a couple people that she's like picked up along the way to like do work for her, and Elena is one of them. And it opens up on her, and she is destroying a lab in an effort to hide Val's involvement with the Sentry Project. That opening scene is really good and definitely sets the tone for the entire movie.
I think her narration works really well. Obviously, it's shot really well. I think this is one of the first times in a while where I've seen a Marvel film where I'm like, oh, these are some like really actual like interesting shots. Someone pointed this out, I think, on Twitter, but like the one shot of her fighting all those people and their shadows, and it alludes to stuff that's going to happen later. And then also, Florence Pugh, thank you for jumping off that building.
Oh, for real. Second tallest building in the world. She actually did it. She fought for it. Yeah, she's better than me. I would have been like, sorry. I'm not doing that. Her jumping off and it being like a sort of misdirect. And then she pulls the parachute. If you don't know, this movie is about mental health. Kind of like in the narration, she kind of like describes her feelings that she's experiencing currently, and she's like throwing herself into work as like a distraction, and she also expresses the desire to have more public facing work. I mean, this is a direct correlation to why Natasha joined SHIELD, which is like literally quote to wipe red out of her ledger. What I think is happening here. And then after this, she goes to Alexei's talk, but he is not very helpful. For those who don't know, Alexei is like her father figure. We also learn that he runs a limo service. Yes, that is important.
I was like, okay, how is this gonna play out? And I was
It
like, when it
is-
played out, I was like, I knew that was coming, but it's great.
We also learn, this is technically plot, that she was on a soccer team called the Thunderbolts. And my mom, okay, so they make a joke, and I think it's later, but I'm gonna still say it here, where
Yeah.
she's like, where he's like, why do you think you wanted to be a goalie? And she's like, because I didn't want to run that much. And my mom clocked it. She turned to me and said, "That's you."
That's so funny. That's so funny you say that, because we'll get to my Letterboxd review, but let's just say I make a joke about the goalie part of it. And when he said that line, I was like, yep, that's why I was a goalie.
Well, I was a defender, so I didn't run that much.
Exactly. It was defender and goalie. And then when they tried to put me on offense, I was like, guys, you can't do this to me.
They wanted to put me on offense so bad. I was like, first of all, I don't run fast, so this would be a waste.
Yeah.
And second of all, I would literally quit soccer. The Ox Bunker. Valentina is facing impeachment as the director of the CIA. She dispatches Elena, John Walker from Falcon and Winter Soldier, Ava Star from
Ant-Man
and the Wasp, and Antonia Dreykov from Black Widow. And they all go to the bunker, and they're all sent to kill each other. And you find that out pretty quickly because, like, they all have like a person. But I was like thinking, the entire time I was like, if this went the way that Valentina wanted it to go, then it would have been like one person lives.
Yeah.
And then the incinerator happens and like kills that person. But I'm like, why didn't they just all go there to get something? I don't know. Maybe it's just like insurance. Like,
yeah. She also seems like a person that doesn't really think out her plan, which is
fully,
which is later in the film that she says a little too much and doesn't really think about her words.
Yes. Ava, Ghost, kills Antonia. That was pretty. I mean, we knew because she wasn't like in any trailer besides like that one scene. I still was shocked. I still was like, oh.
Yeah, I was like, even if I knew that she was gonna die in that scene, and also I've never seen Black Widow. I probably should, because I do really like Elena, but I was like, whoa, that's sudden.
Once you see Black Widow too, because at the end she like kind of snaps out of the like thing that they're in, and Natasha really like helps her, and then it's like, so I'm very confused. Like, Yelena didn't have much feeling towards it, but she was also like under that like stuff that was like brainwashing her, like I don't know, it was like a whole thing, and I was like, I feel like maybe we should have spent a little more time on that.
Especially when the whole film is kind of about mental health and stuff like that. It's rumored that she was in the movie a little bit more with
in the original script. She was supposed to be. That was the script that I believe Steven Yeun said no to.
Oh, okay.
So
he said no to it. I thought it was scheduling.
Iowa Debris was supposed to be Mel.
Yeah, I knew
that was scheduling. I like Ava and John's banter. It is very funny. They hate each other real bad.
Yeah. That's the other thing that I really love about this movie. I think obviously, like, I think because the cast's chemistry is so good, it just works really well, and we haven't really seen that in a while. There's a lot of like kind of like comedies or places where there is comedy where a lot of the actors will ad-lib, but it's not in their character to do that.
Right.
This film, it does a really good job of doing that. Like, obviously Walker's just gonna be kind of like full himself and all this stuff, and Elena's gonna just have that kind of self-deprecating humor, and then Ava's just gonna be like, screw you all. And it just all works really well.
It's a fun group of people. Anyway, after Ava kills Antonia, they meet Bob.
Yay!
He seemingly comes out of nowhere, but we actually see John, I think, hit the box that he was in. Hit the box that he's in and opens him up. And then they realize that it's literally a mission, although I wrote suicide. And I also put butts instead of bits, so that's fun. Since they're the like last bits of evidence for Val to discard. So basically the room that they're in is an incinerator. All of the other evidence plus them are in there. They have to figure a way out. So that's what that is.
I've never seen this movie, but I was like, is this Escape Room? One of them has an incinerator in it.
I think it's the first one.
The first one? I've never.
Well, I think it's the first room.
Throughout the film, they just encounter saw traps.
Yeah, the whole movie is like a saw trap.
You're probably wondering where you are. I'll tell you where you might be. You might be in the room that you die in.
The bunker escape and the limo ride. So the group escapes the incinerator room, and then we get the first hint at Bob's power. They're like passed out. Elena and Bob's hands touch, and Elena's sent to a bad, shameful memory. And then after that, they like have to escape up like this shaft thing. they like Emperor's New Groove it, where they're like back to back and like inching up the wall. And then Bob has to sneeze. And he's like, cucumber, cucumber, cucumber.
And everyone's like, why are you saying cucumber? And he's like, it helps with sneezing. And then he's about to sneeze, and then everyone starts saying it.
Screaming cucumber. It's very good. John grabs one of Elena's stick thingies that Natasha also has in the other movies. And you know, they all get pulled up, but and then Bob's little cute sneeze.
Yeah, when she's holding him and he just goes, achoo! I think I sent this to you, but there was a TikTok where someone's caption was, he's so Fluttershy coded.
Achoo! Fluttershy was my favorite. Yeah, so they go up, and also we get another bit of Bob's powers because John helps Bob up out of the shaft, and another shameful memory, but this one was more interesting because he almost steps off of the thing, off the like ledge of the like shaft things, and he would have died if he fell off of that. And that's very yeah, that's the theme of the movie, guys. They like try to escape, and like they have to fight a bunch of soldiers and stuff. And then my favorite is when they're in the car and he's like, can I see your identification? And John just goes, no.
Like, if anyone else was in that situation, like any other like superhero, they would try to like kind of like fib it out and try to like, you know, improv their way out. And Walker's like, no.
But that's when Bob goes to cause a distraction. Once again, theme of the movie, he thought he was gonna die doing that. Willingly going to
he
go
constantly
do that.
was like, you can leave me behind. I feel like, Bob, no.
Yeah, everybody's not doing okay in this movie. Every single character is not doing okay. And then he's like shot by like 1,000,000 bullets, but he lives, and that's proof to Val that the Sentry Project worked. She kind of knew before because they talked about it before in a scene. That was like actual proof with her own eyes.
Another thing I do want to comment, so funny. Bob is shot with a bunch of bullets.
Oh yeah.
Surprises. So at this point in time, he has like
a hospital sort of get up on.
attire.
It's like mint green, like sort of like hospital wear things. And he has no shoes.
That's another thing I want to talk about.
The interview about the feet.
But he gets shot a bunch of times, and obviously like it's a fake out because then he stands back up. But when it comes back to him, his shirt is cut off just enough so you can see the bottom of his abs. And I'm just like, they knew what they were doing there.
This movie is very like female gaze oriented. Thunderbolts is, because it's very like Ava and Yelena just look gay. And then you have the men who all look great, and it's just like, this was just for the girls and the gays.
No, that's so real.
And then the rest of the group is saved by Alexi. This scene also cracked me up. Him getting
This
out of
was
the
another
limo.
scene.
Yes, him getting out of the limo and screaming, Yelena! Don't go in the bunker!
And the reason why he finds is because he was the limo driver.
He was the limo driver for Mel and Valentina when she is talking about the Century Project and how all of that is like a mission and all of that, and he overheard it and goes out there.
And they leave the vehicle, and then the camera pans,
and it's him.
And I was like, that's genius. But so
It's
that's
so funny, and it's so good though. It works in this movie.
It
Like-
works 100% because his character absolutely, if it was like an Office type thing, he would directly look at the camera and be like, "Did you guys hear that too?"
Yeah, him just screaming, Yelena, it's your dad. Don't go in the bunker.
And then just being like super embarrassed.
Just
It's like
so embarrassed.
It's like that scene in the first Diary of a Wimpy Kid where he's like, his mom is dropping him off at school and she's like, I love you, and then also like the same thing with Into the Spider-Verse where he's like, you gotta say I love you. And he's like, are you serious?
We are gonna move right on to my man, Bucky Barnes. Oh wait, I'll get this out. Here he is. There's Congressman Barnes.
What's the word that he constantly says in the interview?
Oh yeah, I forget.
He keeps saying the same word over again. It's like
he's Trump coded during that scene. I think that's the only scene where I could pick it out. First scene though, I was like, oh no, but it didn't happen for the rest of the movie. So. But while like all that other stuff was happening, Congressman Bucky Barnes is he's suspicious of Valentina. I mean, the whole government is. She's literally on trial to get impeached. Like he knows that she's up to no good, but he can't like do anything without proof, and he just wants to be helpful. And he like can't. He doesn't know how to like insert himself, and that's
he just doesn't really know how to do it without going on a motorcycle and being the Winter Soldier in a way. Like he just doesn't know how to do it
legally.
Thank you, legally.
So then Bucky talks to Mel, who is Val's assistant, to see if she can get anything like substantial, but she refuses initially, but then she ends up helping him. Another funny scene is when he hands her the card and she goes, what is this, your trash? He goes, no, it's my card.
I also think the dynamic between Mel and Bucky are like, it's a good,
I like it too.
It's a dynamic. She knows how to do stuff under the rug, but he's trying to help her to be like, look, you can really do some good. And I love that actress. Yeah, Broken Hearts Club, underrated movie.
Drive Away Dolls. She's in Drive Away Dolls. She is a lesbian in it. So once again, another lesbian in this movie. Yeah, and you know what? She was going to be Iowa Debris, and that's also lesbian coded. So they really said only the girls and the gays are going to get what they want in this movie.
Yeah, but I think you'll like what I'm about to say. But the scene where the packet, because the other Congress guy is like, you need to read the packet of the impeachment because that's like how we do things here. And he's like, this is so boring. And then he's trying to eat.
It's like a chili dog or something.
Yeah, on his shirt. And then he just takes off the shirt and you can hear the washer in the background. And then this is the scene that's in the trailer where he takes his arm out of the washing machine and puts it on. And we get another arm reset moment. We did it. Mel tells Bucky that the other team is still alive and that they would be his best bet. Yep.
And he saves them because in the limo, that was also I think this was one of the moments I laughed the hardest, was in the limo whenever he's like, okay, I'm gonna try to go faster. And it goes up to like 56 miles per hour.
That entire scene, also like even during that high speed chase, Elena is just like sinking in her seat. Like,
Elena's
so
just mortified. Basically, they're getting chased, and the limo is not going fast. Bucky saves them. This was the scene that was in the trailer, so I don't have to explain it. However, it is playing in my head currently.
It is me too.
On a loop, constantly 24/7 it plays in my head. And then he like captures the team and is like, I need you to testify against Val. And no, Bob, we gotta go get Bob.
And he's like, who's
and then
Bob?
He's like, who the hell is Bob?
Who the hell is Bob?
But I love that scene because he's like, you guys are like talking crazy shit. And then she's like, guys, this guy is unstable. And he's like, what guy? And then she's like, Bob. And he says Bob. And then everyone else is like, Bob. And then they just say it a bunch of times. And it's like that scene in Shrek where they're saying all their names. And then he just goes,
SpongeBob does it too.
Shrek!
Fiona!
Mom! Harold!
Donkey! Tin crabs!
SpongeBob!
John Walker's bad like memory thing is like they're like him not really taking care of his child and his wife, and like he kind of like is in a dark.
I mean, not to downplay it, I'm sure it was very, rough, but like kind of having like a bit of a pity party because of being stripped as Captain America and like all this stuff is going on in his life. It's just kind of what he's doing is
No, yeah, exactly. and it's the emotional part that I think is really interesting. And it's not that like I'm John Walker's #1 fan, because I love to hate him, but there's a small moment between him and Yelena where Bucky says, you can't do this just because I forget what his wife's name is.
Olivia. It is my name.
Oh, it is Olivia. Oh, I'm sorry about your divorce, man.
I'm not married. I was never married to that man.
I was married to Bucky, not him.
I was married to Bucky when Bucky did get to say my name though.
Dude, you need to make that your ringtone. It's just Sebastian Stan saying Olivia. But there's that when Bucky kind of reveals that moment, Yelena kind of looks at John like kind of,
yeah.
He said something where he talked about his wife and kids in a way.
Yeah, he said something about like him being bad to his family and that Olivia left him with their kid.
His vulnerability, because that kind of cements the group together throughout the film, are these different kinds of moments of like vulnerability amongst them all.
Yeah. And then Bucky is like, okay, change of plans. We're going to go
get Bob.
Stop Valentina and get Bob. Moving on to Sentry / Bob. This is kind of all the middle bits that kind of get intercut with all the stuff that we just talked about. But basically, Bob is taken by Valentina and she manipulates him into becoming a new superhero that is very like public facing. This is just to make her look good, pretty much. She dyes his hair. She puts a super suit on him, and she makes him Sentry. And then the team goes to stop Val. It was very funny them talking in the car.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Incredibles.
Yes. Yes. I also loved Red Guardian being like, so what's the plan? And Bucky being like, it's my plan. and then it just hard cuts him running into the building with the truck. So then the team goes to stop Val, but then they're overpowered by Sentry. It is so funny because it is like, Bob's just kind of like, hey guys, I'm doing this now. And then Ava's like, did you dye your hair? And then he just snaps.
Yeah, he's like, you don't like it?
And I'm like, that's so real. That's
the thing that kind of sucks. I'm sorry, Bob, but your dark brown hair is kind of the dirty kind of blonde. I think it works. But that's what it's supposed to kind of represent, is that he's being kind of forced to be like a superhero.
Yes, it worked really well because Sentry looks like that in the comics, but it would be really silly for him to look like that by like being like, oh, we have to make him, she said, like a traditional hero.
Yeah.
She said, yeah.
And I think that's really interesting because when we get into The Void, I think it's a very good example of like stereotypical like good guy, bad guy.
Yeah.
When, the middle is kind of like dealing with both of those at the same time.
But then I just think it's so funny when they're all fighting him and he's like not being phased, and then he overpowers Bucky and they are all like, all right, pack it up.
Oh my god, there was a tweet where someone said, guys, if Steve Rogers was here, they would all die. They'd be all dead.
They would have all died. I love that man. I love Steve Rogers. He's back here on my thing. He's in Lego form. I love that man. They would have all been in like deeper crap if he was there. They all said, "I'm done. I'm out." Just Yelena getting up and quickly going to the elevator, and Ava just crawling to get Bucky's arm. Red Guardian just throwing Bucky over his shoulder, and they're like, "I'm out."
This is gonna be the next scene, but then I'm gonna go back to the scene. There's a small moment where Ava gives Bucky his arm back. Starts walking out of the building, and then she forgets, and then
he puts his hand out like, "Please give that back to me." Even though this doesn't seem significant, later it is. John's shield gets bent.
Oh yeah.
And it's like a taco. But then there's like a scene where it's Val and Sentry, and Sentry realizes, "Hey, I don't gotta listen to you anymore. I'm like a god."
It's kind of going back to what we were talking about with Valentina, where she doesn't really think her actions through, because she's talking about how
long term she doesn't think. I think she thinks about like, she's very selfish, where it's like, right, but like it's gonna make me look good. You know, but she doesn't think about the impact. But then they foreshadowed this earlier, but they have a kill switch, and Mel she pushes the kill switch before Sentry can kill Val, and then they're like, "All right, pack up the body. I guess I don't know what to do.
Put it back in the box."
The soldiers are like, "There's no body up here." Oh wait, there's a little scene in between here that's actually very important, but I didn't write it because I didn't know how to write it. But it's Yelena and Alex. Yes, this was the first time where I teared up in the movie.
Me too.
Yelena sort of telling Alexei about like what she's feeling. Like she tried to in the beginning, but I just don't think she was ready to be that vulnerable. And then she really does it in this scene where she kind of tells him about everything that's going on and how she needed him. But then we also see his vulnerability because he doesn't feel like she wanted him and all that stuff. Like it's a good scene. Obviously, Bob is not dead, but killing Sentry woke up the Void, which is basically like his other half. Think like a Hulk. And his design is cool. He's just like he's at like the Sentry silhouette with like the long hair and the suit, but he is a silhouette. Like he is fully darked out, and he's got like yellow like little dot eyes, kind of like
Midnight Mass,
like Five Nights at Freddy's. We said two different things, but yes, both correct. The Void traps New York in darkness. There's a scene where they're all like helping the civilians, and then it's not funny, but it's just the impromptus of it. But it's Red Guardian saves a little girl. By the way, the little girl looks like Yelena. Crazy, looks like little Yelena. Saves a little girl, and then Bob just like banishes her to the Void. Just so abrupt. It's not funny, but it's just so abrupt. So then Yelena goes willingly in. I think you can think whatever you want about this scene. There are people arguing online. To me, I thought it was just she knew he was in there.
I just think it's open-ended where she's like,
yeah. When I was like watching the movie, I just thought she knows that he's in there.
Think she does too, but she's like, if he's not in there and I just walk in, then it's okay. Yes. Like something like that. Like she's willing to do that.
So this is the shame rooms. People are calling it a lot of different things, but the actors have been calling it the shame room. So I'm going to call it the shame rooms. Yeah. So they get like banished to like their worst sort of.
And it repeats.
Yeah. Only instead of just like their worst nightmare, like an American Horror Story, it is their worst memory. So it's stuff they've lived through. We see Elena's shame rooms, and they are her first test in the red room, and then her struggles with alcoholism that was in there. I liked that scene a lot. Yeah, it's her and herself, but then herself, who is really drunk and out of it, gets up and forces alcohol down her throat, and that is like, I thought that was done really well. And then she sees Bob in the mirror in one of his shame rooms. He said it was his it was like the least bad one, so he's hiding in there. The others kind of all join in. I wish we could have seen at least glimpses of everybody else's shame rooms.
Yeah, I was thinking of you when Bucky says his line. I was like, oh no, Olivia's gonna cry at that line.
When he opens, he's the last person to go to get in there. Also sad, he's the last person to exit the shame rooms. But it's the scene at the beginning of Civil War where he's in that like Russian lab and they wake him up. If you look in the background, it's like that, like the like circle of lights in that room. It's that room. And I'm like, you guys are sick for that. Oh, another part that happened, you didn't see Black Widow.
Oh,
But
I know what you're talking about.
yes, with the curtains, they like the room starts like, going crazy and like stuff starts flying around and there's like curtains that come and like wrap around Bob and Yelena's neck, and there is a scene in Black Widow where it's their first time re-meeting. It's Natasha and Yelena's first time re-meeting, and they're fighting each other because they don't trust each other, and they like wrap curtains around each other's necks and like try to choke each other out. And then I noticed that immediately. I was like, no. Bob, they realize they have to go through Bob's shame rooms. And his rooms are his abusive dad, and then the sign spinning and Red Guardian going, if you hit me with that sign one more time, and him going, I was on meth.
And then this is the GIF. Forget when you sent this to me, but there was a long time ago where Olivia just sent me a GIF. Bucky
punching. We know now it's Bob in the chicken soup, but we were like, why is he punching a chicken? Whenever the trailer came out. His experimentation is the last shame room, and that's when Void comes out and is like, hey guys, you're alone, Bob. And then they confront Void, but they're overpowered, obviously. And then Bob kind of struggles to like hold back Void. He tries, but it's just not working. And then they all come over, the whole team comes, and they're just like, it's okay, Bob. And it's kind of like a hug. He is able to regain control of Void through that, and then the city is saved. So the little girl did not die. I wonder what her shame room was.
That's what Olivia, right when we were talking about it, I was like, what would her shame room be like?
It is kind of traumatic.
It's just that scene over and
over. Next, the Thunderbolts go to sort of like detain Val, and then she kind of like manipulates them into a press conference. Like it's literally like them walking to go get her, and then she like leaves through like this curtain area, and then like the press is there. And she like manipulates them into a press conference and like intros them as the new Avengers. And that's why Thunderbolts has the little asterisks at the end. They are not Thunderbolts. They are the new Avengers.
Who saw
and
that
then
coming? Olivia's been saying it since day one, since they added that asterisk.
I definitely have been. And then the team agrees, but like threatens Val if she tries anything. Yelena says, we own you now, which is in all of the edits. All of the Yelena edits start with that. The credits show like the PR rollout of the new Avengers. It's so smart. It's so good. Smart. And then the credits. There are 2 credit scenes. First one is just Alexei trying to get attention by pointing out that he's on the Wheaties box to a random woman in the grocery store. She does not care. Funny, he hands it to her, and then she's like, and then sets it down and walks away. And then credit scene 2. This is the important one. It's set 14 months after the events of the film. The new Avengers are an established team. They have like they're in the Avengers Tower, old Avengers Tower that Valentina bought. And we learn that Sam, don't even get me started. Sam Bucky divorce. Sam is trademarking the Avengers name and that he's not happy with their little team. Bucky says it goes poorly. I know. And I'm like, stop.
Sam, I understand why you would be upset for so much that you went through. However, how can divorce from Bucky?
No, for real. Sam is fully valid in this.
Oh, 100%.
Fully valid. You know what's really telling is that I am thinking about the team of the Avengers team that Sam would put together, and that would be like Captain Marvel, Black Panther, but like Shuri, Shang-Chi, like all those people. And I am more connected to this group than I am with any of them except for Sam and Joaquin.
Yeah, and I think that's what the film does a really good job with, because we know these characters such on an emotional level. We care about them so much.
Loved the Shang-Chi movie. I just don't like him as much as I like this group.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's, and also in addition, we know how they all work together, and
Right.
we like what we see. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how all those characters interact, because I do think that that's sometimes the cool thing about these team up movies, is seeing how. However,
Yes.
I don't, if I'm remembering these characters correctly, I don't know how they're going to interact, because
I don't know either.
It's like, it's not as clear as like what we were talking about, where each of these characters, like, there's a way that they talk to each other with their relationship, and it makes sense.
It's the only people that I really care about are Joaquin, Sam, and Shuri, and the rest of them I'm like, I just don't know you deep enough. And I definitely should by now. They've just not done a very good job at that. Not to say I don't like any of these people. I like all of them, but I just don't know them very well.
Yeah.
And I would just like to put this out there. I am not a Carol Danvers hater. You will never catch me speaking ill of Captain Marvel. I just feel like they just have been doing her wrong movie-wise.
Oh, they've been doing her dirty.
And I love the Marvels. I love that movie. I just think that they just aren't doing her very well. I feel more connected to Monica and Kamala in the Marvels than I do to Carol, and she had a movie previous and was in like Endgame.
And you know who's gonna be directing Doomsday?
Yeah. They directed this credit scene though, and they ate.
I will say they ate a little bit, but I am scared for them to write like either a full scene with these characters in it.
They had the director on set. They had Jake on set for this, and I'm like, okay. And also one of the writers of this movie wrote this credit scene.
Okay. The Russo brothers don't do a good job with.
I freaking hate Bucky Barnes. Terrified.
That, and also like I feel like anytime that there is a character that's either like has some kind of very much like mental health or like some psychological thing, they just downplay it.
I think they are better about it than like Joss. I'm not going into that.
Yeah.
So then I almost said Florence. Yelena has she gets like an alert, and it's like something entered the atmosphere, and then they look outside and it's the Fantastic Four's ship. Woohoo! That's the next movie. But in between that we have Ironheart. It's gotta be soon because Fantastic Four is in July. June?
June 24th. They're not doing a good job at promoting it.
No, it's making me really upset because I like that character ever since she got introduced in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I like her, and they're floundering, and I'm like, you guys suck. Our reviews. I gave it 4.5 stars. This was like what I needed. My review was thanking every power in the universe that this didn't disappoint me. New superhero family to fill the void, pun not intended.
I was so glad when I saw that you gave it 4.5. I was like, oh, thank the Lord. Because Olivia texted and was like, do you think I'll like it? And I'm like, Olivia, you will like it.
I love it. I want to go see it. If I had infinite money, I would go see it 1,000,000 times.
Yeah, no, that's relatable. Like, I liked it. I mean, obviously, like, I think it's a good film. I think, you know, I had fun watching it. I do think there's some kind of like some things that I would change. Other than that, I think what we said so far, I think sums it up really good. My review was queer ace goalie representation. And that's talking about Yelena. I mean, I'm not Arrow, but ace representation.
She isn't technically, but she is. Like, you know, like the fandom has been like, but she is, and that's how we're gonna take it. Okay, well, that was the movie. We both liked it, clearly. I feel like our even if you watch this and you haven't, going to go see it is like a completely different experience than us just like talking about it. So go see it. Hit the bell. All of our links are down below. if you want to join our Discord, we got a movie club going on right now. I'm sure that Julia will put up the calendar on the screen. Otherwise, please take care of yourselves. We have been Silver Screeners. Goodbye.
Coogler also directed the second one too,
Yeah,
right?
and he's
Oh,
gonna
okay.
be doing the show. He's gonna be there's gonna be like a Wakanda Forever show. He's like, nobody gets to touch Black Panther except for me. And I'm like, as
Good
it
for-
should be.
I trust him.
He needs to direct an Avengers movie ASAP.
Him doing Doomsday?
Yeah. Get him on Blade also.
Yeah.
Give him everything. Kevin, if you can hear me now, get him on everything.
Fire the Russos. Get Ryan Coogler in there.